Hello, welcome back to the
Stephen and Oliver's podcast.
I'm Oliver Reinard.
And I am Stevin Latimer.
The topic we'll be discussing in our podcast today is school shootings related to mental health.
We are going to be reading and analyzing two poems written by individuals that have either struggled with mental health or have been victims of school shootings.
The first poem is called Letter Beginning with Two Lines by Czesław Miłosz. This is written by Matthew Olsman. Here are a few prominent sections of Olsman's poem. You whom I cannot save, listen to me. We can agree Kevlar backpacks shouldn't be needed for children walking to school. Those same children also shouldn't require suit of armor when standing on their front lawns or snipers to watch their backs as they eat at McDonald's. They shouldn't have to stop to consider the speed of a bullet and how it might reshape their bodies. But one winter back in Detroit, I had one student who opened a door and died. The shooter was 13 years old and was aiming at someone else, but a bullet doesn't care about aim. It doesn't distinguish between the innocent and the innocent. And how was the bullet supposed to know this child would open the door at the exact wrong moment because his friend was outside and screaming for help? Did I say I had one student who opened a door and died? That's wrong. There were many. The classroom of grief had far more seats than the classroom for math, though every student in the classroom for math couldn't count the names of the dead. And you, whom I cannot save, you may open a door and enter a meadow or a eulogy, and if the latter you will be mourned, then buried in rhetoric, there will be monuments of legislation, little flowers made from red tape. What should we do? We'll ask again. The earth will choose like a door above you. What should we do? And that click you hear? That's just our voices, the deadbolt of discourage, sliding into place.
We initially can tell this poem is written by a teacher that had experienced a student getting shot by another student.
Yeah, this poem really expresses Olsman's opinion on the topic of gun safety.
It's also really powerful how Olsman uses the metaphor that's just our voices, the deadbolt of discourse.
This is indirectly comparing the deadbolt on a school door to the lock in our voices, preventing us from being able to speak.
He has some great writing techniques with all of his metaphors and all the figurative language he uses in his poems. But on to the next poem, which is also truly powerful. We have Blind by Alicia. Some days I just want to be blind. Blind to the world, to the crimes, to the kinds of people that exist. If I was blind, I wouldn't have to spend all the time trying to decipher how someone could be so cruel. How they could think it would be so cool to shoot up a school. February 14th is a holiday. It's Valentine's Day, a day of love, not hate, and should not act as the day of a shooting. It is a day where 17 lives were lost as a result of a guy who felt a little lost, a man who needed to move on. Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, a safe place where people would go to learn without concern of dying. On Valentine's Day, 17 lives are gone as everything that should have gone right had gone wrong. I mean, come on. Why is it even as an event that everyone saw, but cannot correct? Is there a vet for people who act like dogs? Some days, I just want to be blind. Some days, I look out my window and see trees blowing in the breeze, and it used to put me at ease. But those old opportunities have been seized. Fire, burning, horror, forest fires in national parks, places where bark used to decorate trees. Little did everyone know this was a slowly killing disease. We didn't have time to grovel, never mind writing a novel. It's too bad you have to pick up the remains out of the rubble. In the background, I mumble, wasn't there supposed to be no casualties? I mean, can anyone sneeze without having to bend at the knees to the ultimate destroyer? Surprise, surprise. Don't catch the flies because you didn't open your eyes and realize that it is no easy to end all of these crimes.
It's so sad every time I read this poem because I think about how there were 130 school shootings in 2019 alone, and this was only in America.
And on top of that, about half of all Americans meet some diagnostic criteria for a mental disorder. The poet Alicia uses literal language saying she wishes she was blind to imply how school shootings can have long-lasting damage on our human minds.
It's just really sad. I feel like every time I look at the news, another school is covered with cops because of a shooting or some type of violence. I think of how more students will now have PTSD and will develop other mental disorders.
In 2020, there have already been 25 mass shootings, and 10 of those were in schools.
It's disgusting that almost half of the shootings took place in an environment that is supposed to be safe and friendly. It is proven that mental health checks reduce the probability of a mentally unstable person getting their hands on a gun.
I agree. In a 2015 study, out of 226 men who committed or tried to commit a mass shooting, a very high percentage of them were considered mentally ill.
Though on top of all that, it is more reassuring that the FBI has been recently looking into causes of school shootings and how to stop them. That's all we have on the topic for today.
Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Have a great weekend. Stephen and Oliver out.
You just watched Stevin and Oliver's podcast.